I think we can start.
Okay, so I'm going to read my introduction. Good evening. It's 7 o'clock, and I'd like to open the May 26th Board of Health meeting. This meeting is being held virtually through Zoom. The town of Littleton began conducting remote participation Zoom meetings pursuant to Governor Baker's emergency order suspending certain provisions of the open meeting law on March 19, 2020. Since that time, unanticipated legal concerns relating to the open meeting law have been brought to our attention by the town clerk. Those concerns were supported by the Attorney General's office and confirmed by town council. One concern is that the chat function allows a parallel text conversation to a board's public meeting. Chat is essentially running commentary that is occurring, but it is not moderated or followed by the chair. All participants and listeners may not be aware of comments being made because some meeting participants join by phone and do not see these conversations. Another concern is conversations between residents within the chat room, which are not incorporated into the public record. In response to these concerns, the town will implement the following changes, which in no way prohibit any member of the public from participating in discussion and sharing information during a public meeting, and will ensure that all listeners and participants have equal access to this meeting. People that join the Zoom meeting are set so their microphones are muted. If you called in by phone, please use the *6 to mute or unmute your phone. So that the meeting can occur in an orderly fashion, we ask that people who join keep their microphones on mute so background noises do not interfere with the meeting. If you wish to participate in the meeting, please use the raise your hand function available on Zoom, or if you called in by phone, dial *9, which will activate the raise your hand function. The meeting host will notify the chairperson of the raised hands, and the chairperson will determine whether and when to allow public comment. When called upon, participants should unmute, then state their name and address. After speaking, we request the participant return their microphone back to you. Okay, so our meeting tonight is open. Is Kirk? Oh yeah, Kirk's here, I see him. So first off, the public hearing for 51 Goldsmith Street is going to be continued to June 9th, so we need to have a motion to do that. So can someone make a motion to continue, please?
This is Mike. I make a motion that we continue the Goldsmith request for variance until June 9th.
And a second?
Second.
And then we will do a roll call. Kevin?
Kevin Baker, yes.
Lisa?
Lisa Flanagan, yes.
Gino? Gino's not here yet. Mike?
Mike Selden, yes.
And Louise Nichols, yes. Okay, so Kirk, are you ready to, oh wait, is it 7:10? I guess we gotta wait 4 minutes. And while we're waiting 4 minutes, I can make the announcement for the PFAS update. The Littleton Electric Light and Water Departments will hold a webinar June 6th at 10 a.m. to update the public about its work to address PFAS, a contaminant that has been detected in a portion of the town's water supply. LELWD staff will explain PFAS, the status of LELWD's wells, the state's new PFAS regulations, and plans to mitigate the contaminant. A question and answer session will follow the presentation. To join the webinar, visit lelwd.com or watch live on Littleton Community Television, government channels Comcast 9 and Verizon 37. We hope the community will join us to hear the latest information about LELWD's work to continue to deliver safe and reliable water. So maybe you guys can post on Facebook about that and spread the word.
Can you repeat the date, the June 6th?
It is June 6th at 10 a.m.
And how do we join? Is it a Zoom meeting or
It
is it?
is a webinar on their website, which is lelwd.com, or watch it live on LCTV channels 9 for Comcast and 37 for Verizon.
Awesome. No, that's been kind of pushed to the back burner.
Yeah, unfortunately, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so what time do we have? 7:08. Does anyone have any member comments for 2 minutes? No? Okay. How are you, Lisa?
Okay. How are you, Louise?
You two guys must have been just together 5 minutes ago.
No.
Mm.
Oh, we're socially distancing.
Actually, she's in my living room and no, I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding.
Louise, what's going on with the graduation? Is it going to be virtual?
At my daughter, Emma, yeah, she graduates from Parker and it's going to be in August. She got a delivery Sunday morning. I showed you, Lisa, that
Yeah.
there was a
Cap and
knock
gown.
at the door and it was her cap and gown. How sad is that? She opened, it was one of those string bags and they laid it on the front step and I said, Emma, there's a surprise for you at the door. She came down and opened it up and there was a t-shirt, tie-dye t-shirt, her cap and gown, and then those little Smartie candies with a ribbon wrap so it looked like a little tiny diploma.
Oh, a little diploma. Mm-hmm.
Pretty sad, huh? Okay, I have 7:10. Kirk, take it away.
Hi, I'm Kirk Fitzpatrick with Civil Solutions, and I'm here on behalf of Tom Conley for his property at 22 Jennifer Street. And basically what we have before you is proposed upgrade design for the existing 6-bedroom multifamily dwelling. I'll zoom in a little bit here. So the lot's composed of 12,650 square feet. So it's pretty small. This is right next to Little Peach, or what was the Little Peach. Right now, it's got a couple of tanks right behind the house here where the pointer is, and that feeds a leaching field in this area here. We actually hit it in test hole number 2. We started over here in the corner to be outside the system. In test hole 1, we had 3 feet of fill and old top and subsoil, and then test hole 2, we had 42 inches of fill, and then below that in both test holes was a sandy loam. And we ran perk A, and that ran at 28 minutes an inch. So this new system is designed based on a percolation rate of 30 minutes an inch. So what we're proposing to do is come out to a new 1,500-gallon septic tank, and that's going to be followed by a 1,000-gallon septic tank. It's going to have a large filter in it, and that's going to be followed by a 1,000-gallon pump chamber that's going to pump the liquid up to. System composed of the Presby Enviro septic. It's going to be 62 feet long by 20.5 feet wide. Because it has the high water table, the system is going to be elevated. We're asking for a reduction from 4 feet to 2 feet with the use of the Presby Enviro septic. And we're also asking for fill within 10 feet of a lot line. So it does meet breakout grading with the Presby before it gets to the lot line. And the fill at the back is going to almost go right to the line. And then there's almost going to be a natural swale because it drops down just below 98 and then goes back up to 98 on the abutting property, and it slowly drops down as you get down here to the corner. Neighboring property to the right, and actually they have a raised system in their backyard. We've got a couple shots in there. The spot shot here in 98.3, and then it climbs up to 99 and very quickly climbs up. I think it goes up to probably 102. So the runoff is still going to go in the same direction. Any runoff on the system is going to go around the back and then continue down down to the lot line on the left. That pretty much sums it up. I'd be happy to answer any questions the board may have.
Abutters notified?
Yes, they were.
Are there any here, Janet? Any abutters? I guess I could look.
And I assume in the area, it's also town water.
It is. It's serviced by town water. It comes in the front of the building here.
660 gallons a day.
Yes, it is.
Is this in the proposed sewer district?
No,
No. Is Little Peach, Mike?
it doesn't fit in. It's
There used to be Little Peach.
it's just a same idea, just a different owner.
No. Is that in the district though, Little Peach?
No,
Oh.
because the sewer district at the moment is going to be on Great Road and King.
I mean, you fit it in there, and looks like you did the best you could. It's a lot of tanks.
It is. I mean, it should get a lot of treatment before it gets out there.
Yeah.
The Presby is going to allow a lot of air to flow through it. I think it's the best option for this. We did look at using the geomat on this, but I think the homeowner wanted to go something a little more tried and true.
Yeah. And full basement?
It is a full basement.
You're off it?
Yes, we got the 20-foot offset.
All right. Madam Chair, if I may,
Sure, Kevin, go ahead.
just like to make a motion to approve the design as presented for 22 Jennifer Street.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Okay.
We're not asking Jim to weigh in.
Oh,
Oh.
I'm sorry. You're right. Jim Gareffi, could you comment, please?
Sure. So as Kevin mentioned, it is about the best you can do. With the 2-foot offset, you've got town water. If you try to raise it anymore, you're going to definitely be dumping water on the abutting properties and probably into the basement of that building. The soil's at a 20-minute an inch perk rate. Once it gets to the Presby, should get some treatment too. So, the fact that it's only 2 feet above the water table, hopefully because it's not really a quick soil like a sand, it should get a little bit more treatment before it hits the water table. I don't really see what else you would do on the site.
What would the geomat have gained you, Kirk?
A little bit less fill, a little bit less in height, but it
Same area?
would have been the same area.
Not really sure there's much. I haven't been shown where the treatment occurs in the geomat, so
Yeah.
to me, the Presby is probably a better choice here.
Although the geomat is approved for 2-foot offset. I just want to mention that.
That's pressure dosed, right?
The geomat would be pressure dosed.
Yeah. So it's a lot more moving parts.
More moving parts. The Presby just allows more air in. It's a little more tried and true.
Yeah.
It's,
I like it.
I wouldn't want anybody to drive on this either, but if somebody did drive in the backyard of the geomat, it would destroy it. This, at least with the Presby, has some rigidity to it.
Yeah.
So,
You never know with a rental like that. What is it,
and
3
all the
units?
tanks are going to be H20, so with the heavy duty loading.
Okay. Should we start over?
I'll make a motion to approve the septic sign for 22 Jennifer Street as presented.
And there's a second?
I'll second.
Okay. Roll call. So there's Kevin,
Kevin Baker, yes.
Lisa,
Lisa Flanagan, yes.
Gino. You have to unmute, Gino. We'll come back to you, Gino. Mike Zeldin?
Mike Selden, yes.
Can you hear me now?
Gino, did you hear about this property or did you join later?
I did. I made the second, but for some reason I was not able to stay here. I was not muted. Yeah, all right.
Okay, so Gino, do you want to vote? I mean, yeah.
Yes, I vote. Gino vote, yes.
Okay, and Louise Nichols, yes. Okay, so the next property is
If you want to.
139 Harvard Road, and that's supposed to be at 7:20, and I have 7:18. So we have 2 minutes
Okay.
to hold on. Kirk, do you want to share the screen with your
Yeah,
drawings?
I'm trying. I'm having a hard time bringing it up. I don't know why. If you give me 2 minutes.
Yeah,
Or
yeah.
a minute.
Don't worry, take your time.
Weird. It's not popping up. There we go.
There you go.
Did it come?
So again, I'm Kirk Fitzpatrick with Civil Solutions. I'm here on behalf of Casey Enslin for her property at 139 Harvard Road. What we have before you is a proposed upgrade for the existing 3-bedroom dwelling. Zoom in a little bit here. The lot is 0.671 acres. It's 100 feet wide by, on average, probably about 300 feet deep. So town water comes in the front corner here. The driveway's in the front. Right now, everything comes out to a small tank located behind the screen porch, and that feeds a leaching area over here in the side yard. The anticipation it was going to be a fairly high water table. We went towards the rear of the property, conducted 3 test holes, test holes 1, 2, and 3. And test hole 1, we had top and subsoil to 24 inches, and it changed to a loamy sand with a water table at 36 inches, and we had weeping at 4.5 feet. So we went further towards the back. The water table came up to 20 inches with a weep at 42 inches. And then test hole 3 is somewhere in between the two with a water table at seasonal high water table at 32 inches and a weep at 48. So we were not able to run the perk test due to interference from groundwater. We've sent the sample off to a lab, and that came back as a sandy loam. So it changes it to a class 2 soil. So this system is designed based on a percolation rate of equivalent of 30 minutes per inch. So what we're proposing to do is come out, put a new 1,500-gallon 2-compartment tank, septic tank, and then that's going to feed a 1,000-gallon pump chamber. It's going to pump the liquid up to a Presby EnviroSeptic. It's going to be 32 feet long by 19.5 feet wide. Because the yard does continue sloping down, we're able to put in a sloping Presby and take advantage of the grade of the land to try to keep the height of it down. We are asking for a reduction from 4 feet to 2 feet with the use of the Presby EnviroSeptic. One comment Jim had is he requested we do some buoyancy calcs in the pump chamber. Kevin sent those over today. Want to make sure Jim got those, but it's going to be, both tanks are going to be monolithic. So there won't be any chance of groundwater getting in the middle seam. So basically, we're asking for a reduction in the groundwater offset from 4 feet to 2 feet with the use of the Presby, and for the use of the sieve analysis where a percolation test could not be run on site. I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Jim, can you give us your comments, please? Did you receive those calculations?
Yes, I have the calcs, and the monolithic tanks are a good idea, particularly for pump chambers. When you're dealing with a wet installation, having that seam mid-tank, at some point in time, that seam may fail. And where a pump chamber is mostly empty, having a place where water can leak in is not a good idea. So that's always the monolithic tanks are good. The 2-foot offset in this case here will allow them not to have to fill up to the lot lines. You can see it ends, the lot line, the fill ends at about the shed there. So they don't have to get within 10 feet of the lot lines. It's town water. It's a good ways back from the house. I think it makes a good fix for the house.
Basically, we put it towards the back of the property to try to make the bump as unintrusive as possible. You can see the finished grade over the top. It's going to be elevation 95. So basically at the back of the deck here, it's 96. It'll drop down to probably 94.5, just under, then climb back up a little bit. But it was not possible to make it by gravity.
Any questions for Kirk?
This is Mike. Just any abutters, or is this any
We
abutters?
did not have fill within 10 feet of the lot lines. We did not notify the abutters on this one.
Okay. Thanks.
But there may be some here. I shouldn't say it. There aren't any.
They have quite a bit of land too, huh? It's unusual for us to see that.
Yeah, it does go back, and this is the corner of the lot here, right at the end of the fence. Then
Yeah.
it cuts back at an angle. But this is the edge of the tree line here. These are the trees starting getting larger in through here. So we're trying to limit the number of trees to be removed. So she's going to lose these 2 trees that I got the pointer on here, but the rest should be able to remain. We wanted to maintain the woods there as much as she could.
Any other questions for Kirk? Okay, does someone want to make a motion?
I'll make them up. Oh, does Gina want to do it?
Gino, you're muted.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah.
Now we can.
About time you hear me. All right, motion, I make a motion to accept. Seemed like it's a nice piece of property and it looked like, according to Jimmy, it's no problem.
Can you say the address, please?
The address is Harvard,
Harvard Road,
139.
139 Harvard Road. Do we have a second?
I'll second. It's Mike.
Okay, and then we'll do the roll call. Kevin,
Yes, Kevin Baker, yes.
what did you say?
I was going to waver there for a minute, but
Gino,
yes, Gino.
Lisa,
Lisa Flanagan, yes.
Mike,
Mike Selden, yes.
and Louise Nichols, yes. That's it, Kirk.
Great, thank you very much. Have a good night.
Yeah, you too.
See you on the next one.
Okay,
Bye.
bye.
Let's see the next one. Oh, boy.
I love the way Civil Solutions does their letters and their presentations. It's just very complete.
It is.
Okay, I guess that's it, everybody.
So we have-
These meetings are quick when we're on Zoom, huh?
do we have minutes or anything, or we have no minutes?
Janet's been very busy. She hasn't had a chance to do minutes.
That's fine.
Sorry.
No, I just want to make sure that they don't pile up.
Really
So
fine.
Hey.
we're going to have a surge.
I know. I'll try and get them to.
Having a good time?
Do you need a hand, Janet, with those, or are you good? The minutes, okay.
Does anybody have any questions for Jim while he's still here?
Jim, when do you sleep?
When I go home.
I don't know about you guys, but I am like done with this COVID stuff. Jim, you're like always in a good mood when I talk to you. I don't know how you keep it up.
Well, it's better than the alternative, right?
Yes,
Yeah, correct. Yeah,
you're
correct.
right. Yeah. Maybe we can just, while we have a minute just to ourselves here. Remember on Friday's meeting, they talked about a working meeting for the beach and Park and Rec, and they want to have Park and Rec and Board of Selectmen and FinCom, and so at the end of that meeting on Friday, we said, hey, go ahead and open it, because they had a plan for this week till June 1st, and then there was going to be another meeting. Well, now there's a meeting Friday at 3:30. I think it's 3:30 or 3 o'clock. But I was talking to Jim, and I don't think we need to be part of that working. Jim, do you want to explain it? That it's not up to us how they run their.
So I think there's two pieces to it, and I'm happy to sit in on the meeting on Friday. That's not an issue. But I think they're looking for you to make a decision then on Monday, I guess, the 1st, about issuing a permit for the beach. And again, I think the piece, again, my recommendation at the meeting was, if you're going to have the beach, I mean, given the weather the way it is, if you're going to have the beach open, it'd be better to have it open managed than just to have nobody down there and have people, you just would have no control over it.
They're basically police, right? I mean, they're policing it there.
Well, I was down there today because I was pulling the beach sample. I was down there about 11 o'clock. And there were, I don't know, there's a handful of people on the beach, and they were spread out on the beach. And there were Tim and John, whose last name escapes me, were down there working around the site. So, and they were saying they just, occasionally have to remind people that they just need to keep distances and that. So again, I think if you're going to have that space there, you're not going to be able to close it off. Having it managed is the best way. And so I think we had talked on Friday that, if you want to issue a permit for it, issuing a permit for it managed would be a better way to go.
How do you feel about the portable restrooms? I mean, because in one way, I feel like it's worse because they don't flush. I don't know. Like, what are your thoughts on that?
So one of the things they want you to do is be able to control the number of people in the bathrooms.
Yeah.
And porta potties let you do that really easy, because only one person can go in at a time. Whereas the restrooms down at the, as opposed to having to have a monitor, if you will, at the bathrooms in the building, with the porta potties, that wouldn't necessarily need that. I guess the only drawback is not having a hand sink to actually wash your hands. They'll have sanitizer, but so it's one of those things. Do you have to have another staff person at the beach to try to monitor people coming and going in the bathrooms, and have the sinks or have the porta potties? I mean, it certainly would be easy enough to kind of hit the handles of the porta potty with sanitizer from time to time.
Mm-hmm.
But you wouldn't have sinks, you'd have hand sanitizer.
This is Mike. I just have a question, because this seems to be sort of a little formulaic. I'm trying to understand, how would you know that the adherence is actually working from the public health point of view? In other words, are you looking for a continued steady decline in the number of, I'm making this up, cases in Littleton? What's the trigger, or what's the metric that tells you that the measures put in place are working? And I'm looking at this background because during the same time this is going on, the rest of the state is opening up. So people are traveling, I'm assuming, in and out of Littleton. Has nothing to do with the beach. It's just more targets. So I'm just asking, without getting into details, of how do you know what's going on with anything in Littleton, including the beach? Because you have a 3-week lag.
So I guess if I could narrow it to the beach, and then maybe we can expand out, having the video and having the staff on the beach, the way you'd see that it's working is that, the parking lots, they've got half the parking spaces blocked off. And so if somebody's down there, that'll continue to happen. And if you take a look at the beach, you can see that people are actually, staying distant from one another. And again, with staff down there, they can remind people that they need to do that. So for the beach, those are the things you could look to say, all right, the plan is working, because we can see those things happening. The numbers, case-wise in Littleton, I mean, we've seen a week where there may have been, 6 or 7 resident test positive, and other weeks where maybe 1 or 2. So again, where the numbers are small, I'm not sure they're really directing us or informing decisions that we make in town. I think what we can control, if you will, is the behavioral kinds of things, the social distancing, the mask wearing. And again, having that beach area managed gives you some level of control to the extent that you could have it.
Understood. So do you have like a threshold that says, okay, the behavior is sufficient behavior becomes obvious by observation. So that's great. So what tells you that that's not working as well, let's say, as it's not effective? I guess, are you talking about 5 incidences of warning people, or does it take 50? I'm not trying to make up any rules here. I'm just want to know what do you recommend that Park and Rec use as an index that the rules are being adhered to?
So 2 pieces to that. I think while they're there, there's a good chance that they will be regardless, because there'll be somebody there reminding them that there are rules in place. And one of the ways that we maintain the beach open is to make sure we're following those rules. When nobody's down there, and that's the typical, even when we're not in a COVID year, there's nobody down there. And so I don't know, even if you didn't open the beach, since you can't close it completely, you're still going to have that problem after hours. So at least you can get some level of control for a bulk of the day. Yeah, not perfect, but it's better than having the whole day be kind of unrestrained.
What are your thoughts on Camp T down there, Jim?
Again, that will depend on their plan and what the state guidelines. So the state hasn't come out with the guidelines yet for how they want to operate that. But again, I think we're going to see some of the same things where how are you going to do the social distancing? I've talked to John, who's in charge of the Camp T, and again, they're already thinking in groups of 10 or less. They have the schools, so they certainly have the ability to control the sizes and control the groups in that building. It's to me all very doable. And their staff's been good to work with in the past. I wouldn't expect anything different. And so it's just a matter of how they go about doing it. They've got the whole playground area in the back. Could they send a group down to the beach? Again, they got to think about how they want to do it. Usually they would send, I think they used to send like half the camp in the morning, half the camp in the afternoon. They'll have to think more about that as far as their planning and programming goes.
Is that allowed?
What's that?
Do you use that playground in the back?
Out in the back of the school, they have in the past, yes.
Okay. I just didn't know if that was allowed right now.
Well, I don't know about, so again, this is all kind of predicating on what gets opened, and day camps are one of those things, what gets opened. But again, if you were to have groups of 10 or less out in the back there, there's enough playground stuff, if you will. There's swings, there's jungle gyms, there's...
They can spread out.
Yeah, and again, my thought is over the course of the day, particularly on a sunny day and overnight, the potential for contamination from surfaces should be pretty low.
But Alicia Day is looking to have a working meeting, a working group. And I don't know if we should really be a part of that, because all we are required to say is, yes, you can have a permit, or no, you can have a permit. It's up to them to how they regulate it. And they have to figure out with FinCom and Board of Selectmen. I think those people are the working group. I don't really necessarily think the Board of Health is the working group, part of the working group.
Well,
again, I'm happy to sit in on the meeting. So,
what do you guys think?
I think it's important that Jim, this is Mike, that Jim at least conveys attached with the permit what the Board of Health would consider to be a positive as opposed to a negative outcome on the effort to, as it were, manage the beach from a safety point of view.
So how would we measure that if people started? How would you measure that?
Well, but they came up with my problem. The reason I asked this question was very odd from my point of view. Generally, when people come up with a plan, and this is not on Jim, it's basically Park and Rec. When people come up with a plan, they'll say, okay, the objective here is to have a certain behavior on the beach. So we're going to say, okay, you have to be 12 feet or 6 feet apart and all the rest, and we will manage it. And yes, you can come down a number of times and advise someone that they've step beyond their 6-foot limit or whatever it is, then the question arises is when does the crowd become so large and the staff overburdened? I mean, I'm making up scenarios where they can't keep running around telling people to back off or whatever. So what I'm hoping for is that the Park and Rec come up with some sort of index that guides them, because nothing stops the Park and Rec from saying, okay, we have an unruly, unmanageable crowd on Thursday afternoon. We're closing the beach, permit or none, because this is a scenario. So it's the lack of knowing what is acceptable, what's the threshold on behavior that we're willing to accept. This is what every community struggles with. It's dealing with opening board by beaches that are by the ocean, or have instructed, for example, the police or whoever or the security to say, okay, after either a person or a group of people don't adhere, they're ordered off the beach with a fine. I'm not suggesting that for us. I'm not the one who came up with a plan. I don't think we come up with a plan. The plan is very good. How they know it's working or not working in terms of management. That's all I'm asking.
I would say some sort of number of infractions, if they're, a certain number of times they have to approach a group. Or
I don't know, Jim, can
Similar to the mask thing, probably,
Jim, do you think it's worthwhile? Do you think that any of this is worthwhile, or are we just sort of it doesn't matter?
Well, again, I think they're trying to limit the number of people down the beach by the parking. And at some point, if everyone's got their blankets spread out and there's 12 feet apart, by them saying, Jesus, no more space. I think their original idea about kind of registering for spaces so that they kind of knew was even a better way to manage, because then you'd know it. There's a finite area to the beach. You could kind of map it out into these blocks. You could register people for these blocks. You have some level of control over it. And I think that's what they're trying to get to. So this week here, they're down there managing the beach. They've got the video going. So I think that was part of the meeting on Friday, is we could take a look at the video and see what the typical day at the beach, if you will, look like. It's not a huge area. So and people know people in town. So how unruly it got, I don't think it'll be a Lakes of the Ozark kind of situation, if you will.
I hope not. Oh my God.
But again, I think they're cognizant of the fact of what it is they're trying to do for the summer. And again, they could always default to the fact that if somebody was unruly and needed to have the police called, that I'm sure Matt would send somebody down there as the exception, not the rule. Because that's not really how you want to manage it.
Right. So it sounds like to me like you're pretty confident that the measure or the tolerance is basically built in, as it were, just by the number of people that can be allowed on the beach.
I think there's that, and then I guess I kind of balance it with the fact that if we say, no, you can't open the beach, it's going to remain open so that people can walk on the beach, then we still have a bigger management issue of those people who decide to take up a spot on the beach with their towels and go in the water. Mm-hmm. So I think having it staffed during the day gives us some control over that beach. And when I say us, I mean Park and Rec.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I'd hate to see, especially as the weather gets better and the temperature goes up, there has to be a place for people to go safely to blow off steam or to take it easy. So, I understand. I just want to make sure that there's something in place at least that reminds people that their behavior matters.
And I think that's having staff down there. I think that will be what, that general reminder. Like I say, Tim and John have a really good way about them. I'm sure that, if they approach somebody who is unaware what the rules are, they can quickly adjust that behavior.
Is the beach going to be monitored 7 days a week?
Yep.
That I don't know for sure. I don't know. Is it typically open 7 days a week?
I
Yeah, I think, yeah.
can't remember if there's usually lifeguards or stuff there on Saturday and Sunday. Mostly hours. I think they close at 5 or something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, they used to close at 5. I think they're there every day till 5.
Kind of like
It used to be.
22, you know, you got to have the staff to monitor to make sure that it's safe. And if you don't have the staff, it could go crazy, you know. So
That's why like this working meeting is all about funding and staff, because they, you know, unfortunately they're hit really hard with the COVID-19. None of their programs are running, so they FinCom has to be there, and you know, I don't think it's really our issue to. I mean, we can go to the meeting. Jim, you could be there. I can go, but I don't think we have to be part of this working session, because they've come up with a plan that we've okayed till June 1st.
Have we voted for a permit beyond June 1st?
No.
Yeah, I thought we were gonna do some sort of like circle back with Tim, maybe like a report of how the week went.
I think that's the purpose of Friday.
I mean, I can be on a call if I need to. If Jim, if you want to do it, and just let us know. It's up.
Yeah, I'll plan to be there anyway. Yeah.
I mean, I'm assuming they're gonna say, yeah, it was great. Everybody stayed apart. You know, no one drowned. Everything's fine. And let's just keep it open, and then we issue the permit, and then
They figure out what to do, how to do that.
or how to staff it.
financially, however, they're going to work that out with the rest of them. You know,
Right. Exactly. Okay, I just wanted to.
Yeah, I can sit in on that meeting too. So
So could I.
Well, what I'm saying is there's just going to be a lot of people there, and the more people there, the less gets done. You know what I mean? So that's why I was like, let's not all go to this meeting.
Yeah, but you'd be surprised the number of times that Board of Health issues pop up in stuff like this.
oh,
I mean,
Okay.
we don't have to say anything unless we're asked
Okay.
specifically.
True. All right, so then Friday at 3:30, I think. If you want to be there, you can be there.
what an awful time.
You say 3 o'clock.
3:30, I think.
I think it's at 3:30, Gino. I'm not positive though.
All right, I put it 3 o'clock. Okay, 3:30.
and then we have another joint one on Monday, June 1st with them. At 5, I have in my calendar with Board of Health, Board of Selectmen, and FinCom on June 1st for the permit.
Yeah, and that will be for the rest of the, well, I don't know if it's for the rest of the summer, but for a longer duration than just a week. They'll have to talk about planning and funding and hiring people and
Yeah.
the permit,
So this Friday at
3:30.
what date is that?
29? Okay. So I'm gonna, are we all, everybody else set on that?
You know, you're so quiet.
But
So quiet.
I'm quiet because everything is said. It's been said. You know, let's face it. Not much that I can say. The question is, I can see that you're very worried that somebody's going to get sick again.
There's always something you can say, you know.
Yeah. I tell you what, I might go by the beach and keep my eyes open.
You should.
And then if I see that people are too close, they're 6 feet, like 2 feet each other, unless they are fathers and mother, whatever,
Get right in there.
I will call my chairman, which she's a nice lady to call me all the time.
Yep.
And then I say, well, maybe we should send the police there.
There you
You
go.
can talk to whoever's there for Park and Rec.
That's true. Yeah. You guys doing a good job.
Can I make a motion to
Adjourn?
adjourn?
Yes. Second?
I'll second.
Okay. We'll do a roll call. Kevin,
And Baker, yes.
Gino,
Yes. Gino, yes.
Lisa,
Lisa Flanagan, yes?
Mike,
Mike Zeldin, yes.
and Louise Nichols, yes.
I guess our next meeting in 2 weeks.